Hi, it's Toni Emehel, and here with MB Magazine with one of our great delights and one of our assets, our very own April Daniels. What would we do without April?
What would I do without April? It's good to be, appreciated and valued at such a high level because, it's rare this day and time, So I try not to, mess up where I'm not welcome back.
Well, April, please. Look, stop the madness.
Okay, all right.
We are so blessed to have the gift of
Aw.
you and you being who you are. I know that you've been through some very challenging times.
Yes.
Everyone has these entry points in life when change takes place. Yeah. And 2019 marked a pivotal moment in your life. Yes. For change.
Absolutely.
A day that will never come again, you'll never see it again. Yeah. But you have blossomed and budded, and God has done some pruning and some cleaning up of things. Yes. And here we are now. And the likes of many lives since that time, because of you, will never be the same. So you are honored, you're appreciated, you're respected. You are accepted, you are approved in your own right for everything that you are, everything that you have become, and just the very essence of you. So I'm grateful right now to be sitting here with you and just having this time of introspective conversation.
Absolutely.
A time of unveiling the April who we see now, because she is not the same April that we had in 2019. Yeah. So let's talk about that turning point and that transition.
Okay. Well, first, let me just say that was an amazing description of myself, I must say. I'm going to have to record that and play it for an intro every time I walk in the room. But no, I am just as honored. I don't take anything for granted, I thank God, first and foremost, that I don't look like what I've been through. Amen. But, I'm appreciative that I'm in my right mind. I can still smile. I still cry. But, I'm still living. And that's the important part, because when a very large piece of yourself dies, you tend to want to die with it. Yeah. Absolutely.
But you didn't die.
No.
You've got up.
Yes.
You've laid down and you've wanted to die again. Yeah. But God got you up.
Yeah.
And then eventually you began picking yourself up on your own.
Yeah.
You didn't need that extra strength of the Lord, but you began to draw and pull from the inside. Yeah. So let's talk about what that felt like.
Okay. Yeah. That was so on point, because at one moment, when this first happens, it's so traumatic. You can't even see past the next 10 minutes, It was a point where I was like, okay, I don't even know what to do. I'm just going to lay in this bed until whenever, however. Maybe I'll get out, maybe I won't. I'm not even going to challenge myself with those thoughts. I'm just going to sit here and just soak in whatever this is, the emotion of it all, the hurt, the pain, the disappointment, all of that. And, what I shared early on is that I started videotaping myself every day. I was like, I'm going to do a video journal. And I go back even to this day and look at it, and I'm like, Jesus, whoa. Wow. But I did that because I was intentional about wanting to get from where I was. Not forget what I had with my husband, but just the familiar place of pain and emptiness. So I was at a position where it was like God told me to remove a lot of people. So it was just me and him. And so at the times when he wasn't so present telling me, come on, you got this, get up, I used those videos to challenge myself to get up. to improve, to progress, to look better than yesterday, to feel better than yesterday, to sound better than yesterday. And so I did that for maybe a few months, and then I got tired of looking at myself like that. And, you know, it was part of, not all of, because it also took the words of my dear brother, Major, to say, April, keep living, because it's like a tug of war within yourself. You want to keep living, obviously, especially when I have sons that are looking at me right now to be that leader that my husband used to be. But it's also a part that wants to be really selfish, like, I don't care what you need from me. I got to worry about me first. And so when he said that to me, that was like the next thing I needed. You know, you can get yourself from 0 to 100, but he kind of took me from 100 to 1,000. And so in that, it was like, okay, I have this, I've grown from that, I'm here, but I'm still a little stuck. And then when he said those words and we had our conversation, it made all the sense in the world. And it was like, April, stop putting this guilt trip on yourself. Like, you know, Sean and I talked about that. We did. And there was never a point either one of us said, stop living. And I did tell him he better not be walking around here with none of my friends. But I never said, stop living, you know, and vice versa. And I knew, you know, he would want to see me where God has placed me now. You know, it's imperative for my sons. You know, yes, it was imperative for me, but also them, because they're still babes in their walk, you know, their faith walk. They don't know what it really looks like to recover from something like this. So obviously, being the matriarch of the family, they're looking to me to kind of, okay, how's mom? Is she doing that? Okay, well, maybe we should do that too. And so it was important to me for them to just see that example of being sensitive to your emotions, taking time to, you know, address those emotions, but also looking like there was hope and expectancy still alive ahead of them. So, yeah.
Well, you have set an exemplary example, not just for the boys, but for the world, because you know you always have that audience, and sometimes it's an audience that you don't even know. Yeah, right. But they're quietly looking and learning and gleaning from your life and the things that you do.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I heard you say is how you used your identity of self to tap into yourself. To become the woman who you are today. And when God puts us in these situations, in these moments of isolation, He does it so no one else gets the credit.
No one else.
No one can get the credit for the April Daniels who we see today. You've done the work. And you didn't use Dr. Phil. You didn't use Reverend such and such or so and so.
Right.
You used what God gave you. Were you able to just see your strength grow and progress through that process as you began to, I guess, morph into who you are now?
You know, I saw the progress, but it didn't become real until just recently. Because in the beginning, the first year or so, I'm in mama bear mode. So most of what you saw me doing was obedience and for my sons. It really didn't have much to do with me. And then it was like, okay, once we, you know, this right eye, just keep, it won't. I'm sorry. Then once I kind of got to a place where I felt they'll be okay, then it became about me. And then I was able to look back in the rearview mirror and be like, whoa, like God is really keeping you. He is so faithful in this. And although He's removed a large part from my life, He's given me so much more. And, you know, only a few people will really understand what that means, you know. Unfortunately, it took my husband to go and transition for me to get to this next chapter that God had for me to come into my own. But He has done it so seamlessly, and it's just, I'm amazed. It's my life, and I'm amazed at what, you know, He's done and what He continues to do. And I'm just like, Lord, whoa, like, I'm going to be okay, you know, because it's a point where you say it, you don't fully believe it at that point in time. But then when you start seeing the progress and you start seeing the things come full circle, or the confirmation that that's okay and this person's all right, then you're like, okay, he's pulling me out of this. Like, he's like, no, the purpose is just beginning. The purpose wasn't to be this amazing man's wife. Although it felt very purposeful for me. I enjoyed it. I didn't mind being his sidekick and, being the support to the family, because it was so fulfilling for me, And so now that he's gone, it's like, for a second there, I was like, what I'm going to do? What am I going to do?
Listen, so since you went there,
yes.
since you went there, let me ask you this, because we've had a relationship back to when you and LaShawn first moved to Charlotte. Yes. And I'm going to be honest, it seemed like you came here to hide, like to try to be a commoner.
Yeah.
And God didn't want you in this place of being common.
Yes,
and
he definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, you were seeping in and trying to just seamlessly fit in.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
Okay. All right. So
facts. Yes. When we came here from LA, it was like we had been on the front line in the Vietnam War. We took so many blows.
Yes, I remember that.
I was like, listen, either we leaving or I'm leaving you. One way or another. Like it got to the point where I was like, I can't stay here anymore. And so when we came here, we knew LA wasn't permanent. We always knew that. But Sean had been just trying to figure out where's our next step. We really didn't know. What we knew was when Omar graduated from Pepperdine, we were moving after that, because it was kind of like work was there for him. Omar decided to go to school out there. Jet was doing acting. So it made all the sense in the world. But now these chapters are like closing. And so now it's like, what's next? And so he was talking about possibly going to Dallas and being under T.D. Jakes' ministry. And then he just started watching sermons of T.D. Jakes. He was just, I guess you can relocate your family and you just want to be sure, right?
Yes.
And Pastor Stephen Furtick came on. And Sean was like, April, come in, check this pastor I just seen. And I sat down and watched him. It was like, oh my goodness. And before we knew it, myself, Sean, and our children were all watching. And it was the first time in our faith walk that we were able to watch a pastor, enjoy him, everybody in the family. Because it was always somebody in the family who was like, how long are we going to be here? Because this isn't it. Or, dude, I don't like going to that church, But we all enjoyed him, and we started binge watching him as a family. And so we abruptly decided, not going to Dallas, we're coming to Charlotte. And when we were watching, I think him and I knew where we were, but I just think God knew where the family was and what we all needed.
Yes.
And, Pastor John Gray said at Sean's memorial, Sean was trying to get us to a safe place. And I believe that wholeheartedly. When we transitioned here, it was like we just wanted to be poured into, because we had gave every last drop in California. I'm trying to get Omar up out of there right now as we speak. He's like, Mom, I'm an entertainment attorney. Where you want me to come to Charlotte?
Where the entertainers at?
I'm like, your brother can be your first class. He's like, really? No, but, coming here, we didn't want to do anything. We didn't want to meet Pastor, and obviously my husband being who he was, people who knew Pastor, they was like, you got to meet Pastor. And he was so adamant, like, no, I don't want to meet nobody. Me and April, we going to sit here, and we just going to be.
Y'all came to hide.
Yeah, and we just sat, and we were like, okay with no one knowing who we were. We hated when people would be like, oh, you guys are there. We're like, yeah, okay, go on. But for somebody else notice, we just really wanted God to pour into us. And he absolutely did that instantly. It was like he wasted no time. I mean, I was in your e-group.
Yes, you were.
For people who don't know what that is, it's a Bible study at Elevation Church. And go sign up, shameless plug. They all over, online, in person. But
ElevationChurch.cc.
Yes. And so, it was just so, oh my gosh, it was like, Lord, thank you for filling my cup. Because it was like we were operating, I think, like we were beyond E when we got here. I mean, LA did a number
Well,
on us.
let me tell you, you all got your rest.
Yes.
You did. And LaShawn was still moving and doing some things.
He was.
But you were cruising. You was like, hey. You were. You were cruising.
Adapted so quickly.
Yeah, you were, but you were trying to be too common. You were literally trying to be common, and God was telling you you were special. Yeah. And there's so much more in you that I have to pull out.
Yeah.
But you had gotten comfortable.
Yeah.
In the common
space.
I did.
I was real comfortable.
I
was watching Netflix and chilling.
Yeah, you was just.
I was like, okay, carpool.
Hey,
okay, no, I'm good.
But there was more for you.
It was.
And right now you're walking in the more. Now, unfortunately, it did take the tragedy to pull you in, but your husband had done some amazingly great things. The world even now still benefits from his work.
Yes.
And I have to think that. And we all know that, not just think but believe that God does not allow you to leave this earth until your purpose is complete.
Fulfilled. Yes.
And
absolutely.
so LaShawn's purpose being fulfilled, God yet fulfilling purpose through you.
Yes.
He did some pruning of relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Over the way.
Yeah.
And I know that was a tough time for you as well. You were surrounded by a nice arsenal of people.
Yeah.
But how did that pruning process grow you and mature you in your scope of relationships now?
You know, it was weird because, you know, if you ask them, they'll give you a different version of the story. But for me, it was like God just instantly said, me and you. And we rely on God and we trust him, but he really made it where I absolutely had to trust him without any type of interference from anybody whatsoever. Most of the people he removed, I can't say I was heartbroken. I was disappointed.
Yes.
Because I tolerated them for as long as I did because I loved my husband that much. And so the moment that he passed away, it was almost like, oh, she's disposable now. Okay. And I'm like, well, how are you still posting and talking about you love this man, but the people he loved the most, you don't even respect them because of him. You ain't got to like me. Right. You know, we don't have to like each other. But let's be cordial. Let's respect each other. Let's not, you know, go out and talk crazy about one another and give a false perspective to people who don't really know the facts. And so, you know, when that happened, I was kind of relieved. But I was greatly disappointed in my relief. I just felt like you could do better if Sean really meant that much to you.
Right.
Even if we're separating ourselves from one another, there's still a way you can do that, and it can be, you know, respected, received, and no hard feelings. It just, okay, this is where we are, and it's okay. So when that happened, you know, people always talk about Vera.
I know about Vera.
Vera walk around with a razor blade under her tongue. So Vera's my alter ego. And Vera was like, oh, word? That's what we doing? I was like, Vera, this is a test. Don't let me fail this test. And so it was crazy because I had that very real moment with Vera. But I felt like the presence of Sean was in me so strong that even if I wanted to entertain Vera, I couldn't.
You could not, and that is really a growing point for those onlookers, because we know that weddings and death
are the worst.
Are the worst, and they bring out the true identity of a lot of people.
Absolutely.
You know, what they really thought of you during that time. But we know that God only prunes from your life those things, people, places, or things that are no longer productive.
Yes.
Right? It's unfruitful, not bearing fruit. And so those people that were cut out, even though you had to endure that disappointment, God knew that they didn't mean you any good and weren't going to bring any growth to your life.
Yeah.
Literally, they had expired. Their time in your
Yes.
life had expired.
Yes.
And so even though, and me personally knowing some of the folks that took the low road during that time,
Yeah.
you continued to take the high road and do the work on yourself
Yes.
to get to where you are now.
And baby, that was not easy.
Ah.
It wasn't easy. But you know, I knew they would have loved that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
yes,
they would
yes.
that would have been the celebration of all celebrations for them. And you know, even though some of the things that they were doing, I mean, mostly everything they did was so calculated, but I just felt Sean like, let it go. You know, even at the memorial, it was a lot of foolery going on, and I was just steaming inside. And I remember going up on the stage to have words, and Pastor took my hand to help me up the steps. And as soon as he grabbed my hand, I heard Sean say, "Be who you supposed to be in this room." And instantly, that changed everything. My mission when I was going up there, I was getting ready to drink the Kool-Aid right along with some folks. But, you know, it was that same piece that was like, do not let them change who God said you're supposed to be in this season, in this moment, in this room, in this circumstance. I don't care what it is. Stay the same. And so, you know, it was a bit of a tug of war, but I felt him like the moment I found out he passed away, it was like he jumped inside of me. And, you know, we see TV and we see movies and they'll do stuff like that. But it was so crazy because, Toni, it was so many things coming at me left and right. And I was like, it's okay. Let them have it. It's fine.
I remember
Don't
that.
say anything. I was impressed.
Yeah,
I was like,
you were.
what?
Yes.
Who is this person talking?
Yes.
And I was just like, don't do it. But man, it was very challenging. And, you know, I'm still getting tested. But, you know, I'm a gangster, so.
You ain't a gangster.
I'm a G.
Yeah, listen, no, it was a memorial for LaShawn, but it was a graduation ceremony for you.
Yes.
And now you have
Well put.
you have your degree.
Yeah.
You have your papers, if you will.
Yeah.
And God has been just methodically moving you into this woman who you are now.
Yeah.
Being able to touch the four corners of the earth through your voice, through your sound, through your print, through your clothing line, through many different things, through your personal care products line. Let's talk a little bit about what God is doing in your life now. Now that he's pruned you.
Yes.
Now that he's got the right people in your life to help you grow.
Yes.
And to bud and to blossom. And dropping seeds. I mean, I look at how you sow into other people's lives.
Thank you.
Let's talk about that.
Oh, man. You know, I have always been a sower. Sean has always been we really, that was another ministry of ours. But we didn't go walking around telling everybody about what we did. You know, what you do in your closet is what's rewarded, not what you do for a notch on man's belt. And so we always were in that was our posture.
Yeah.
If we got it, you got it. And I felt like when he transitioned, the outpour of all the things that were coming my way, the opportunities, the love, the purpose, just everything full circle, made me feel like this was the payback for all the sowing we did, because it was a lot of times I would be like, this ain't adding up. Now what? Lord, you know what we be doing. I'm just trying to figure out why we keep getting the short end of the stick. And not that you sow for that, but you want to be on God's, list
see the growth,
of, yes.
Right? You want to see the growth. You want to see the fruit production.
Yes. So, I have still been walking in a season where God is preparing a seat at a table for me, a table I didn't even know I would be able to sit at. It's amazing. I'm amazed at what he's doing. I've always wanted to do something with fashion, and I thought, honestly, if it was going to happen, it would have been the time that I was on TV. Well, that came and went, and a whole lot of other stuff, and I'm like, okay, maybe not. And I totally just said, okay, never mind, I'm going to let it go. It ain't going to happen. And so when this company reached out to me and was like, we want to do a line with you, I was like, oh, what's the catch? What's the fine print? Because I'm like, this can't be. So having the opportunity I'm actually about to launch my third line with them.
Really?
Yes, I have
amazing
fall, winter, and I have a spring summer line coming out with them. So I have 2 more coming out with them, and that's been amazing. I mean, the whole team at Social U has been just outstanding, professional, a joy to work with.
That's wonderful.
So that's been great. I decided to get into the beauty and wellness industry. I've been a licensed cosmetologist for 26 years. I haven't been operating in my gift, but, I kept saying I was retired when we moved from LA, and I kept my license, though, but creating some products of mine that will be coming out in September. So by the time people see this, I will be hopefully...
the launch will have occurred.
Yes, and one of their favorites. So it's called
so
A&D Essentials, and it's pretty much just bringing the essentials that people need from the inside out. And so I'm super proud of that. Some of my faves, actually, I'll share. One of the products is my hair oil that I've been using. So I've been the guinea pig, and everybody's like, wow, your hair is like growing and going crazy. And I'm like, yes, make sure you remember that when I drop this hair product. But, I have some other things in the works, but also, being able to be a part of MB Magazine has been super exciting for me. One of the things I've always been so hard on myself. I did not graduate. I did not go to college, and I graduated school a year early. And I feel like, who does that and don't go to college, right? And the enemy love to use things to keep you, as a prisoner. And I always felt so bad about that. I was just hard on myself. And this accomplishment with the magazine, and to see what we're able to do and my part in it, has just, reminded me that that piece of paper doesn't define the purpose in my life at all. And so I can let that go and be okay with it.
Because when it's in you, it's in you.
Yeah.
God has to get it out of you in a certain way.
Yeah.
But when it's in you, you don't need all of the other things that someone else will need.
Yes.
Because your walk and how God uses you to express out the anointing that's in you, it doesn't have to be augmented like some other folks.
Right.
Right. I'll leave it like that.
Yes.
So when you talked about being in the cosmetology industry before, I know a lot of people thought that that's what you would fall back on. But as we can see, again, that memorial service was your graduation. That was your graduation. And now you have exceeded what a cosmetologist would do just in that normal vernacular. So it's amazing with the hair products. How will people be able to get access to them?
Yes, through my website, andessentialsbeauty.com. You can go there, and everything. April will be there. Super excited.
This is so good. This really is.
But
so
I
good.
do want to say, like, as much as it seems like it was just so effortless, listen, I was in my head like a whole year. You're going to do it next week. No, don't do it next week. All right, next month. Don't do it next month. All right, put that on there and put that date, because now I'm going to hold myself to it. No, can you change the date? Like, it was a lot of different emotions. And when I had talked to a good friend of mine, AJ Crimson, may he rest in peace, and I called him because he used to actually be Jet's manager when Jet acted in LA. And so we had a really great relationship. And I said, let me just call AJ. He out here popping in these streets with AJ Crimson makeup. I'm like, what am I doing? Let me call him. And I was like, AJ, I gotta have like 50,000 units. And he was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, well, I just feel like, I can't come out half-stepping. He was like, come out being you. He was don't try to, he said, listen, people always think they gotta have the packaging, they gotta have this, they gotta be in this store. Like, they wanna do this grand slam coming out the door. And I was like, yeah, that's me. He was like, no, be you. He's like, you've been authentic all this time and it's working. Why would you try to be something you're not? And I'm like, he put it all in perspective in the snap of a finger. And he was like, tell your story, do a few hundred units, see how it goes. If it goes great, amazing. That's a great problem to have. Order some more product and go. And so, you know, I hope out of everything that the woman at home who may have experienced something traumatic that she thought she couldn't pick up the pieces and go on, I hope my story speaks directly to her to know, like, if you're scared, I'm a little scared, and I know they say anybody that loves the Lord shouldn't be scared. It's not that kind of scared. I'm trusting him, but it's still a fear of doing something you've never done before, and you don't even know if you have all the information to do it, but you're doing it. And so just be inspired. I hope and pray that, you know, with this, you know, what I'm doing out in front of everybody, because we talked about the whole world watching, and it's like I'm naked in a fishbowl over here. Everybody looking what's next? So I'm like, oh God, what's next? You know, so I can't wait to see the results of all that I'm doing. It has definitely been a lot. Sometimes I feel like I need to clone myself because I'm like, gee whiz, why did I sign up for all of this? But it's not that I've been wanting to be busy and do stuff. I really spend time with God.
Yes.
And I'm like, make it plain. What am I supposed to be a part of? What am I not supposed to be a part of? And everything that he has me doing, I have gotten a confirmation to be a part of it. And so it can be a little overwhelming, but I'm like, all right, you gave it to me, Lord. I'm gonna do it. You know, it's no other choice. And I'm writing a book.
Come on now, spill the tea.
Yes.
This is
I'm
so
writing
good.
a book. And let me tell you something. God is so funny. I wanted to write a book before Sean passed. And I struggled with an ending. I was like, I have no ending. Like, what do you end? Book 2 coming soon? Like, and so I was a little reluctant to finish it. When he passed away, I got so many confirmations that now was the time for my book. Well, Vera got the writing before April.
I can only imagine the pages had flames coming up off of it.
They was melting into each other. Vera was like, yeah, and so-and-so. And
calling names.
Oh, she was exposing everybody, right? And I was like, okay, maybe that's not it. No lie, I have probably written the first 8 chapters maybe 5 times. But the beauty of that is from where I started to where I am now, God was like, why are you still talking about them?
Yeah.
They don't even matter no more.
That's right.
He was like, I know you want people to know what they did. He was like, don't even worry about it.
They know what they did.
Don't even worry about it. He said, you keep doing what you're doing, and the writing now has the potential to be a New York bestseller. But before, I was going to be, I don't know where that book was going to be, because that one was a little spicy.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
But yeah.
But you got it out, and it was therapeutic.
I did.
In nature, because you were able to get it out on paper. It's like typing that email and not pressing send.
Yeah.
So, you know, to God be the glory.
Yes.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. I can't either. I'm hoping for the holidays, but worst case scenario, I'm thinking first quarter.
Okay, this is good. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the world looking on, and one of the, I would say, the primary major audiences that you have had has been your 3 sons. And they have seen their courageous mother walk through the fear, walk through the pain, walk through the disappointment, the aching, the weeping. Yeah. And they are so proud of you, so enormously proud of you. Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit of what's going on in their lives.
Oh, boy. I love all of them. They're just so special. Not because they're my kids, but, you know, they really are great sons. You know how sometimes people have children and it's that one that just can't get right? And you be like, but all y'all the siblings, you know. But all 3 of them have been so super amazing. you know, I say all three of my sons because they have always been all three of my sons.
That's
But
right.
obviously, I gave birth to two of them, and one was Sean had, and I had one when we got together, and then we had Jet together. But they're all uniquely different. They've all taken a different path of grieving, but they're honest about it, and their bond with one another is just really something that should be admired. You know, I love that even though the blood is different, it 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 expresses itself as if it's the same.
That's right.
The heart of LaShawn is in all of them, and you know, I just I can't be any more proud of them. Omar is now working at the dream firm he was trying to get to. He's doing very well. He's extremely busy, so much so that when I call him, I FaceTime with my sons often, like multiple times a day. And it's back and forth. So it's not me being overwhelming, because I know some people probably like, if you call them, no, they call me too.
Yeah.
And now when I FaceTime him, he'll send me straight to voicemail. I'm like,
Huh?
he told my mom, you can't call me at work. I said, what you mean I can't call you? I said, what's your boss's number? I need to call him. He's like, who gets jobs at work? I said, every American in this world gets that. He won't take a call at work. So we're struggling a little bit with that. But he's doing really well, and I'm super proud of him. He's working with a lot of major entertainment entities in LA. And Jet, he graduated school a whole year early. He's getting ready to start college. He is doing it first year online at home because I am in the process of building a home, and he wants to make sure mom is okay before he leaves. Yes. And Tashawn is, you know, he's a father and a husband. Yes. So he is just fathering and husbanding very well over there. And he's now getting back to his music. Before Sean passed away, he was putting out a song every Friday. He had this thing every Friday. He was dropping a song.
Wow.
And so he took some time away from that to, you know, be kind to himself. And now he's getting back into his groove, getting ready to put out a project. And so I am just really, I'm honored to be their mother, Tashawn's bonus mom. But I am even more honored that God has allowed me to love on them and be somewhat responsible for some part of how they are. And, you know, my heart is just to make sure that whomever they decide to love, obviously Tashawn's married, so he's made the decision.
Yes.
But I just want to make sure that they're raised well and that they love someone's daughter the way Sean loved me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the two of you together have set such an incredible example for them, and it shows.
Thank you.
It absolutely shows.
Thank you.
And again, I've talked to them. They are so proud of their mom.
Oh.
All three.
Thank
They're so proud of
That's
them.
good to know.
Yeah, they really are. They've expressed the seeing you courageously become, well, first take care of them.
Yeah.
And then taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
But yet never neglecting yourself in the process.
Yeah.
So, again, your example for those who may encounter like situations in their life is not over until we, I mean, we're still living.
Yeah.
And you have
long as
lived
we have
life
breath.
very well.
Yep.
So, what does the future look like for April Daniels in terms of love and relationships?
Wow.
I mean, because you know, people have to be wondering. You know, you're even though the boys didn't say it, they're wondering, and
Oh no, they're not wondering.
you don't think they're wondering?
They're
They're wondering who they're gonna have to roll up on.
Yeah, that's what they like. Mom, ain't nobody coming up in here. Okay? They like, we just thought we should let you know. I got 3 Kevin Costners over here with me and bodyguarding to death. So no. You know, I have really been locked in with making sure April doesn't need a man for anything. I've always been that girl. I don't need you, but I want you to be in my life, And so when you've been able to be an at-home mom, wife for 20 years,
yes,
some may be like, oh, she gonna need somebody now, but I'm like, no, God got me, and I just want to make sure that I can pick up where I left off, and I'm just all about me and my business and creating business and maintaining business and increasing business. But the human side of me, it can be very lonely sometimes. I had an amazing husband. The desire to be loved in that capacity is no stranger. It's lonely getting in it. Let me tell you something. These women out here talking about, I don't need no man. You a liar.
You are lying. You lying.
Because I miss my husband laying next to me every night. Look, even when we wasn't talking to each other because we was mad, I just want your body next to mine.
Let me feel that heat.
Right.
Yes.
But,
yes.
I haven't, this is the funny thing, I have not been approached by anybody, except for this one man that looked like Duck Dynasty who creeped in my DMs, but that's a whole nother story. I said, wait a minute, I like Sean big with a beard. That ain't like my thing. Like, what are we doing? No, But I'm open to it if it comes around. I trust God.
Right.
And I think God knows how much I loved love. I loved being his wife. I thought that was an amazing thing. I love being able to be submissive to a man who, honored God first and foremost.
Amen. Yes.
I know submission is a hot topic out here in these streets, but
it's misunderstood.
It is, because when you're submitting to the right one, it don't feel like submission.
Exactly.
And so I'm not looking, but I'm open.
That's good.
But yeah.
That's good.
I'm a package deal. That's for sure. So.
Well, you're a relationships expert as it is. And
wow.
You are. You were a relationships expert when you were doing Cool Couples.
Yeah.
You were a relationships expert when you were doing Rock Out With Me.
Yeah.
You're a relationships expert now with the Girlfriend's Corner. So you have every aspect of relationships covered.
Yeah.
It is covered.
Yeah.
So ain't nobody gonna just be able to slide up and
it ain't anybody.
No, it ain't just no.
I don't want to be like Chili from with a list of criteria that. But yeah, no.
It's standards and principles that you'll be very easy to see walked out in their life.
Yes.
So it's like no one can step to you with game because you'll recognize the authenticity of the relationship because God has grown you so in depth in those areas.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Girlfriend's Corner and the tour and the column in the magazine and how that is just blossoming.
It's crazy because when I was doing Rock Out With Me, I took a break, and when I took a break, it was at its peak. And, a lot of people were like, this is not the time to take a break, but it became so political because people wanted me to do certain things or have certain people be a part of something that in real life, this was not what they were about. So are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this?
Right.
Yes.
And, when it became that, I was like, I'm cool. I'm going to sit this one out. And, I had a piece about it. Decided, once I was writing the column for MB Magazine, Stacy, the editor-in-chief, was like, we need an event. I would like to have an event associated with the magazine, to really be able to touch people, go out, shake hands, kiss babies, and do all that stuff in ministry that the magazine can't do. Obviously, we need an event. And, thought about it, came back, had a conversation with her. And so I was already writing the Girlfriend's Corner column in the magazine. And I was like, why don't we do an event? And she was like, I like that. And so that's where it grew from there. Well, I still had my following, and I'm like, listen, extra love to all of my followers. Let me tell you something. They are some true supporters, okay?
Yes.
They didn't say, oh, she not doing anything, I'm out. They stayed with me.
There.
That number never went back. It remained the same. And so they were still there. I would pop in every now and again. And I was like, this is rock out with me. It's just grown up. And I'm like, this is, we're going to come back over here. We're going to speak to the people. It's the same type of, premise. Like, why not? We've really been able to just go out and spread faith in the city, and really just, it's like the ultimate girlfriend's night on steroids, and we talk about things beyond the surface. Now, hey girl, how you doing? Where you been? Let's talk about matters of the heart.
Yeah.
What are you struggling with? This is what I was struggling with, and this is what God said, and this is what God did, and this is what God is still working me through.
This is so good.
And just those transparent moments that speak to our hurt, our disappointment, our confusion, our whatever you are going through. The whole premise of the Girlfriend's Corner tour is just to give back, to pour into. And most of the time when we're talking to women in the different cities, we're being poured into as well. So it's the ultimate girlfriend's night.
All right, and you were at the Stellar Awards recently.
Yes, they invited us to come, the Girlfriend's Corner, and we did a little pop-up at their Stellar weekend, and it was amazing. Yes, God is just really doing some special things for the magazine, for me, and for all the women involved, It's really a fulfilling moment when you can walk in your transparency and move mountains. A lot of people, walk in a script and have to pretend there's something they're not, or they can't remember what they said yesterday.
That's
or
right.
But
living
the
a lie.
freedom, of being able to be yourself, and it works, is just so rewarding.
That's the way God intended it to be.
Yeah.
So we started this conversation just talking about transition points in life, and there's always an entry point to a transition. Yours was 3 years ago, almost to date, within a few days.
Yes.
And today we see you here now, you're flourishing. You're walking in your truth. You're walking in the true identity of who you are.
Yes.
You've come into that woman that God desired for you to be. You're no longer hiding.
No, I'm not hiding.
Yeah, because you weren't. You was cruising with it, right? You were just cruising with it.
Yes.
So you're touching the lives of other people, and for anyone that's going through such a impactful transition as what you've been through, what advice would you give them to really finding themselves in the tragedy and coming out successful and renewed as you are?
I think that it really boils down to how much you trust God. It's not me. I can't really take any credit other than I was just obedient. When he said move, I moved. When he said don't say nothing, I didn't say anything. When he said stay on your face, I was on my face. Like every command he gave me, I did it. I didn't think about it. I didn't do something before it. I was just like, listen, I'm over here so thirsty and needy to hear from you. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. And I won't complain doing it. I think a lot of times when something happens to us, we struggle with trying to fix it, or trying to resolve it, or just trying to be the answer in the circumstance.
Yes.
I really had to take myself out of it as much as it was me walking through it, and just really give it to God. It's no way in the world I could have come out this way had it been my own direction. It just simply wouldn't work. And, the intentionality and the thirst to hear from him. When Sean passed away, right before he passed away, I had a conversation with him that day, and I was so thirsty. I mean, it felt like I just swallowed sand. It was weird. I never, ever in my life had this feeling, but it was like after everything happened, it was such a thirst for God to just show me his hand, to let me know I was going to be okay. And he did, he's still showing me. It's still a struggle. I look okay now, but There are still days that I walk through it and it feels like just yesterday where I was. But the history I have with him lets me know it's okay. We're human. That's the human side. We're still going to see things that speaks to the human side of us before it can speak to the spirit naturally. So it's like, okay, something may happen and it's like that disappointment instantly. But then I got to remember the history I had with God. He brought me from my lowest with Sean, simply from me trusting him. Even when I didn't have the answers, more than I trusted myself, more than I can rely on my mother, more than I can rely on my best friend. Like, all of those people that should have been there, they weren't, and it's fine, but it was about me and God, and he was like, daughter, it's me and you. It's go time. Never mind what's going on around you. It hurts. I know it hurts. But I didn't send it for it to kill you. I didn't send it for it to destroy you. I sent it to birth something out of you that has been inside of you waiting to come out. And so I trusted him. That's all I had. That's the only thing I had to hold on to. It wasn't, yes, I see my son and I want to be everything for him in that moment. But it wasn't even about him. It was just how bad did I want to be able to open my eyes tomorrow, because I'm still alive. I'm still alive. He didn't take me. So if I'm still alive, there's still purpose in me. So wanting to be able to fulfill what it is that he placed in me, wanting to be able to walk in obedience, not sacrifice, obedience, no matter how hard it hurt, knowing with expectancy that he was on the throne and he was going to work it out. And he's still working it out.
Yes, he is.
But nothing has been wasted. Nothing. And he is putting back all the pieces, not like they were, but creating a new masterpiece. So when I can go through something and know how bad it hurt, cut me to the white meat, he has been everything I need to heal that wound. And not to sound all so spiritual and deep, but there really is no other answer than being okay to be with him and only him.
That's so good. That's so good. I can't top that. I mean,
you can't.
Because God he has to be the center. He has to be the focus.
Yeah.
He has to be what you rely on to pull you through.
Well.
So this is so good, April. This is so good. So we're looking forward to your product line coming out.
And essentials.
We're looking forward to your new book.
Yes.
We're looking forward.
Going between titles, so I can't share the title of it, but I have two working titles. I'm still praying about it, but it's going to be one.
You'll make it a contest? Let me see.
Yes, you might be on to something.
Listen.
I don't know. Maybe I have to let them read a little page or two and then say which way you think I should.
Yeah, what do you think this should be?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Include the people.
Yeah. I mean, I think the people would enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they would enjoy it. And the teasers, I can't wait to see even the teasers that are going to come out for it. So, look, you hear me speaking this thing up.
Like,
you hear me speaking this thing
you
up.
all
Yes,
the way ahead.
I'm already at the teasers. It's coming.
Yes,
It's coming.
yes.
So, I mean, I'm delighted. I'm honored, privileged just to be able to have this conversation with you now, because we had this similar conversation 3 years ago, and it was nothing like it is now.
No.
But God has prepared you.
My God.
He's groomed you.
Yes.
He's grown you. He's continuing to grow you.
Yes.
And he's making provision for you.
Yes.
Parting the Red Sea for you to walk through.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about anything. Why? Because your focus and your heart is on him.
On him. And that's it.
This is going to be so good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here.
Yes.
Stay tuned, get connected, and stay up to date to what's going on with Miss April Daniels and the Girlfriend's Corner, MB Magazine. We're going to keep you in the know. So connect with us, connect with her, and you'll be in the know.
Yes.